This bulletin is coming to you live from our studios here at Kokomlem Lane, Accra, on digital address GA0993341 on Joy 99.7 FM. Is also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi. Affiliates across the country on ABN Radio in London and around the world at myjoyonline.com. The news is brought to you by UMB Bank, UMB Speed App, DigiBank, Let's Go, and Telesol 4G. Just a touch. Coming up.
What do you tell these families who can't find their daughters?
Family of 3 girls kidnapped in Takoradi makes passionate appeal to President Akufo-Addo to ensure their loved ones are found.
Since that day on the 4th, we've not been able to eat nor sleep. Anytime that we sleep and we hear a sound of a car, then we are expecting maybe someone has dropped her by. So we just wake up and come in the bath. Nothing shows.
Meanwhile, Western Region Police reviews missing girls knew their captor before they were abducted.
The accused contacted the victim several times through mobile phone communication. He promised the first and the second victim with jobs. He promised the third victim with a mobile phone.
We'll be live on the ground in Takoradi as the police steps up search for 4 accomplices on the run. Also in this edition, Supreme Court gives the green light for the construction of the controversial National Cathedral as it dismisses case challenging its construction.
Religious expression of Ghanaians is a public interest. So far as that has been established, that connection has been struck, clearly it's constitutional. So indeed the construction of the National Cathedral will go ahead.
We'll get to hear from the Deputy Attorney General on what's next. And in sports,
now, Kumasi Asante Kotoko's chief executive has warned the players not to be complacent after reaching the group stage of the CAF Confederation Cup.
Now, 24 wives of late Yana, Yakubu and Dani free to remarry after passing a fidelity test by traditional oracle.
For the wife of a king to go through the ritual, she must have a strong heart. We got married to Yana for more than 32 years. We never did anything bad to break our marriage vow.
We'll tell you about the significance of this age-old tradition and what it means for these women. We have all that and more here on the Midday News with me, Emefa Apau. A passionate appeal from a helpless mother who continues to live in pain each passing day with no news of her daughter kidnapped last year. The families of 3 girls, Priscilla Kranche, Priscilla Bintum and Ruth Kwesen, who were abducted by an alleged Nigerian syndicate, are making a passionate appeal to President Akufo-Addo to ensure their loved ones are found, even as police steps up the search for the suspect, Wilson or Samuel Wilson, Utodic's accomplices. We'll go live on the ground and get the latest and hear from the police, which has been addressing a news conference on this matter today. But first, listen to Nanajwa Kwesen, who is a sister of 18-year-old Ruth Kwesen.
A lot has changed because since that day on the 4th, we've not been able to eat nor sleep. Anytime that we sleep and we hear a sound of a car, then we are expecting maybe someone has dropped her by. So we just wake up and come in the bath. Nothing shows that he is around.
But you believe she will come home?
Yeah.
What do you want to say to the police?
As for the police, we've said a lot to them. Now, my problem is the president of Ghana, that he should set his feet up, because in this, the way with all the things started, by now I'm sure that they have learned what is going on in the Western, but it seems they are not showing any much concern about the situation. So we are asking if it was to be an MP's daughter, or even assemblyman, or even a police commander, or even, let's say, one of the big men, the pastors, like, is that how they're going to treat the case? Because we just don't understand. It's been 17 days since you had this guy. We've not able to trace anything from the guy, whilst his phones are in their custody too.
Well, fresh details in the girls' kidnapping case have revealed the missing girls knew their captor before they were abducted. Police say their checks show the missing girls had been communicating with the captors. Western Regional Police Commander Redeemer Vincent Dejoy has been addressing a news conference a while ago.
The accused contacted the victim several times through mobile phone communications. He promised the first and the second victim with jobs, while he promised the third victim with a mobile phone. Police have discovered some gadgets from the accused for invitational purposes and has been forwarded to CID headquarters for analysis. The accused person earlier made mention of 4 persons alleged to have being involved in the kidnapping. The police have made strenuous efforts to arrest these suspects from their hideout, but it proved futile. We realized that we send it to a house and said, the people are here, you go, nobody will be traced. Police have made strenuous efforts to arrest these suspects from the hideout, proved futile. Police are still vigorously searching for the kidnapped girls. The general public is urged to come forward with credible information leading to the rescue of the victims. We are also appealing to the parents of the victims to stay calm as police is working around the clock to rescue the victims.
Now, in response to concerns by residents who have expressed fear of such incidents recurring in the future, this is what the commander had to say.
I have given you the lead as to how it came that they were kidnapped. They were not just going to church and they were picked. If you say that it's like they were going to church and somebody crossed them and picked them up. No. And let me tell you, apart from these issues, was there any criminal activity that happened within those environments that shows that life and property are not safe within that environment? And what I want to assure you that police are doing their job as professionals. Let us not run the institution that we have now.
Well, gender advocate and founder of the ACT Foundation, Angela Dramina Abuaje, is calling on the police to collaborate with international partners on this matter. She spoke on the Super Morning Show.
First of all, I am beginning to think that even if it's not the same suspect, there appears to be some people who are trying to copy, even if I'm just conjecturing. You know, by now, there should be intervention from the police headquarters that is looking at working with other sub-regional organizations, security organizations, to find out what has happened. I would have thought by now the Interpol would be in a case like this. Maybe I'm escalating it because as a parent, you know, I feel the pain of what has happened when you are not sure whether your daughter is dead or not.
You heard the gender advocate and founder of the ACT Foundation, Angela Dramina Abuaje. Well, DCOP Redeemer Vincent Dejoy at a news conference indicated the police is working with its international counterparts to apprehend the culprits and find the victims as well.
Let me tell you that I'm telling you that this man is a professional. How do I have money to say that he's a professional? We have information and that is what we are working on. As I'm talking to you now, we are even using Interpol to get us some information on him from Nigeria, because we got to know that is his signature. He was convicted in Nigeria by the information we had for kidnapping. So we wanted to be sure of that information. So we have gone through the procedures, biometric and the rest, to send to Nigeria for them to give us information on it. So we are working. It's a gradual process. It is you should not expect that it to be fast track.
You are the Western Regional Police Commander, DCOP Redeemer Vincent Dejoy. Now let's go on the line now and speak to my colleague Kojo Yankson, who has been on the ground in Takoradi. For more on this, Kojo, you've been interacting with the family to know who these girls were and all. What more have you picked up on this matter?
Well, MFA, we've spent the morning at the regional headquarters of the police, and we've learned quite a bit. Not just from the official communication with the regional commander, but many sources in the police, including the Takoradi Central Police Station, have been sharing quite a bit of information with me about the victims and, in fact, about the suspect, particularly the circumstances under which he escaped. So I have picked up from some police sources that he did indeed saw through some metal bars of the ventilation hole in his prison cell and crawled out of this very tiny space, injuring his back in the process. And there is a mark on his back, to prove this. Now, they were able to find him through a bit of police work and a little bit of luck. They tried a few phone numbers, and one of them was picked up by a lady identified as his girlfriend, according to my source. This lady was then picked up by the police, and under interrogation, she revealed that this individual was holed up in an uncompleted building not far from his official residence. So the police swooped down upon that location, and that is how they picked him up and also found some clothing belonging to one of the victims. Now, my sources at the regional headquarters also inform me that there is some very sophisticated technology being used by this individual and his accomplices. They suspect a syndicate, a kidnapping syndicate, that may be possibly connected to human trafficking. They haven't yet determined this, but that is a theory, one of many theories that they are working on. Now, they believe that this syndicate has a lot of sophisticated technology. When they arrested this individual for the second time, when they rearrested him, he attempted to smash his mobile phone. That mobile phone is now on its way to Accra for some forensic evidence to be gathered from it. But they believe that there is a network of sophisticated technology being used, because when they looked through the phone records of the suspect, they found that certain phone numbers could ring him, from Takoradi, and then 5 minutes later, the same number rings him from Accra, and then another 5 minutes later from Kumasi. So there is some technology that is obscuring the source of those particular phone calls.
But Kojo, did you find out how come after 17 days of his arrest, that phone is now making its way to Accra? How come?
Well, I believe that that phone they have actually been working on it here in Takoradi, and perhaps to dig deeper or to unlock other aspects of the phone that they are unable to do here in Takoradi. They are now sending it to Accra for that to happen. That appears to be the process that has gone on so far. But this is only what I'm being told by the police. I have not been able to independently verify whether that phone has actually gone through any processes here in Takoradi, or whether it has simply taken a little too long for them to come round to it. I haven't.
Now you've also been interacting with the families as well. Their concern is why there's a focus on the prosecution, on why he broke jail, and not on the substantive case. What more have they been telling you?
Now, what I was told by the regional commander was that the reason why they went ahead with the jailbreak in court was because they felt that was one that they could use to secure a continued detention of the suspect. Once they were able to, establish that he did actually break from jail, that would then give them the power to hold him longer, allowing them more access to him in order to retrieve more information about the whereabouts of this girl. Now, MFA, we have to be clear that the police are operating on the premise that these kidnappers are still holding the girls. The girls are alive, and the kidnappers could harm these girls if they feel that their colleague in police custody is not being treated well.
Interesting findings there. That's my colleague Kojo Yankson on the ground in Takoradi. Of course, he'll find out more and give us more of it in our subsequent bulletins. We can now hear from criminologist Kenneth Agyemang-Natefua, who says the police must ascertain what made the girls a target.
It will be important to study what is it about Sekondi Takoradi? And I don't want to rush to make any conjectures about that. I have some ideas in mind. But what is it about this city, or this twin city? And what is it about this time? And what are the ages of these girls? And what are their characteristics? Not that their ages or characteristics make them guilty of anything, but it's just to say that their vulnerability, their susceptibility to being kidnapped would be properly studied if we looked at who they are, what is their sociology, what kind of environment do they operate in, what is the kind of interactions, because there is always in abductions of this kind, where it is not military, it's not political, and I don't know that, but I'm just assuming, where it is for ransom, then there has to be certain vulnerability factors which the kidnappers, the evil-minded people, take into account. They are motivated offenders. They look at attractive victims and what are the components of the attractiveness.
You have Professor Kenneth Jajiman Atefwa. He's a criminologist. You know by now on all our social media platforms. And of course, on myjoyonline.com, you find the pictures of these girls. Please do well to share and then also join the conversation with the hashtag #BringBackOurTardy You're still listening to the Midday News. You're on Joy 99.7 FM. Let's move on to some other stories now, because government's decision to support the construction of a national cathedral has received the unanimous legal endorsement of the Supreme Court. The court has ruled that it is in tune with the social and political objectives of the Constitution. The CPP's James Kwabena Bonfe had argued that Ghana is a secular state and it was therefore wrong for the state to be excessively entangled in any religion or religious practice. But responding to his argument, Deputy Attorney General Godfred Dame said a country that has for many years observed principal religious celebrations as public holidays cannot be said to be one that does not recognize the existence of a supreme being of God. He's been speaking to Joy News after the verdict.
Indeed, the Supreme Court itself, in the judgment that the plaintiff agrees with, ordinary bench, had held that the contracts were unconstitutional. The only failure of the Supreme Court was to order a repayment or refund to the state by the applicant. Also, if the contracts are unconstitutional, is it justified that the plaintiff will enjoy the fruits of that unconstitutionality? Clearly, it cannot be justified. Our respectful submission is that the Supreme Court, therefore, was right in reviewing its judgment, exercising jurisdiction. Lordship, again, our further submission is that even if the Supreme Court erred in the manner in which it interpreted the Ghanaian Constitution, that is a matter within the Supreme Court's exclusive jurisdiction.
So you have Godfred Yeboah-Dame. I beg your pardon. Looks like we have a wrong inset there. We'll definitely bring you that sound shortly. But let's get on the phone line and speak to my colleague, court correspondent Joseph Akable. So Joseph, we understand the judge's rule that the case filed raises no legitimate issue requiring enforcement and interpretation of Ghana's constitution. Shed more light on that.
So there were a number of constitutional provisions that were referred to. One has to do with Article 17 of the Constitution that talks about the fact that people will be treated equally and they will not be discriminated against based on their religion. Now, this was one of the main issues that they had raised in the court. The Deputy AG had disagreed and had said that that was not the case and that the government was only supporting. That could not mean that government was discriminating against any other religion. The Supreme Court judges agreed with the Deputy Attorney General Godfred Yeboah-Dame's view and went a step further to say that granting of the land to the Christian group and supporting the cathedral's construction does not mean that they have denied other religious groups. On the subject of the interpretation of this aspect of the Constitution, the Supreme Court said that the provisions were unambiguous, were clear, and there was no need for the Supreme Court to interpret. The bit about the enforcement of the Constitution has to do with whether the action of government, that is the setup of the Hajj Board and the construction of the cathedral, breaches any aspect of the Constitution that requires the intervention of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court disagreed in that regard and rather said that the support is in tune with ensuring government's role of ensuring that all citizens achieve their aspirations, and these aspirations include the freedom to practice any religion of their choice.
So on whether the state was excessively entangled in religious activities, what did the court say about that?
The court disagreed. The court held that, in fact, it was important that Ghana's secularity obviously could not be interpreted to mean that government has no business or has no say in religious affairs, and that government needs to actually be concerned about it. The Supreme Court went a step further to comment that they are indeed aware that there are many other pressing issues of national concern, issues of infrastructure, roads, hospitals, among others, but the justice said that they still consider the cathedral to be important to achieving the religious aspirations of the Christian group, and that for that matter, in fact, they talked about the breakdown in terms of the religious breakdown, saying that the Christians are about 88.8% of the population, 71%, I beg your pardon, and Islam being about 17.6%, and the other religions have been 5.2%, and those who are non-religious being 5.1%.
Okay. So now, what's been the reaction of James Kwabena Bonfe and his lawyers to this ruling?
I engaged Dr. Abdul Basit Bamba, who led James Bonfe's legal team, and he says he's happy that the Supreme Court has pronounced on that aspect of the Constitution for the first time.
I think this is a very good day for the people of Ghana because for the very first time in the history of this country, we have had the highest court of the land basically making pronouncements that define the relationship between Ghana as a secular state and religion. Now, in the 1960s, when we were coming out with the 1969 Constitution, the Constitution framers were very clear that our republic, that is Republic of Ghana, must remain indifferent to religion. They were very, very clear about that. Now, what the Supreme Court has essentially said in this case, and I think it is good for the rule of law, is that the government of Ghana, and this means essentially the president, the parliament, all ministries, now are at liberty to extend any support to any religion whatsoever, whether it is Christianity, whether it is Islam, whether it is Hinduism, whether it is Ekanka, any religion, even including those who do not have a religion. Because as the Supreme Court rightly pointed out, everybody has to be treated equally.
You heard there lawyer Abdul Basit Bamba, his lawyer for James Kwabena Bonfe. Let's stay a while longer in the court, this time in the Ashanti region, because lawyer for 7 Men's Gold customers arrested in a demonstration is unhappy with what he calls the feet dragging by prosecutors. Kwame Owusu-Sekyere says the delayed processes could add up to the financial burden of his clients who have lost huge investments to the gold collectibles company. We can hear from him.
I'm disappointed because we couldn't go on with the matter today because most of my clients are not resident in Kumasi here. It's unfortunate they had to go back without the case being heard, but that one you can also take that from the prosecution because they have indicated that they still are waiting further instructions and I can't begrudge them. But we are hoping and praying that the next agenda date will be able to go on with the matter, that is if the prosecution are minded to go on. Because we don't have control over the prosecution of the matter, but we are only hoping that at least they will be put to trial if indeed they want to, so that at the end of the day we know whether or not they are guilty. They themselves have indicated that they are not guilty, so it's for the prosecution to prove their guilt.
You have a lawyer also said he's customer for some Men's Gold customers, or lawyer for customers of Men's Gold in Kumasi. You're still listening to the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. Stories making the headlines. Family of 3 girls kidnapped in Takoradi makes passionate appeal to President Akufo-Addo to ensure their loved ones are found. We went to the Supreme Court where they've given the green light for the construction of the controversial National Cathedral as it dismisses case challenging its construction. And still to come, 24 wives of late Yana Yakubu Andani now free to remarry after passing a fidelity test by a traditional oracle.
For the wife of a king to go through the ritual, she must have a strong heart. We got married to Yana for more than 32 years. We never did anything bad to break our marriage vow.
How do you love your pork? Grilled?
There were grandparents. There were mothers.
This is the method our grandparents handed down to our mothers. This method is very healthy because in the clay oven, we are able to drain out most of the fat.
Very healthy.
Then this Wednesday, catch the story of Sophia Hammond and her pork grilled in an African oven on the Joy Business Van. The Joy Business Van on TV, radio, online and on ground. It's powered by Joy Business and supported by EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Thanks for staying with us here on the Midday News. Time now for sports. Love him or hate him, Ridwan Ibrahim Asante has the latest. Ridwan, what's in sports?
I don't deserve that coefficient. I don't.
What's in sports, Ridwan?
Good news from the world of sports. We have to tell you about the Kids Olympics coming up, on the 2nd, 9th, and also that's on the 9th, 16th, and then 23rd of February. That will be highly competitive among kids. So under 12 years, just pick a form, return the form immediately, and let's get back to you. Whether it's swimming, table tennis, basketball, football, just join the campaign and be part of the search for the next global icon. But away from that one, Kumasi Asante Kotoko say they are remaining grounded despite reaching the group stage of the CAF Confederation Cup at the weekend. It's the first time in 11 years that the two-time African champions will be featuring in the money zone of a CAF inter-clubs competition. They say they start their campaign on February 3 against Sudanese side Al Hilal before playing Zambian duo of Zesco United and then Nkana FC. Kotoko Chief Executive George Amwaku says they're taking one game at a time.
I'm a bit excited, but I'm not, being complacent here. We are doing some work to revamp Kotoko, bring it up to where it belonged in the years past. I think it's work in progress, but the rate of the progression is good. And if we are able to sustain it and work harder, we should be able to get to our destination.
What do you make of the draw for the group stage?
You see, we have been out of this level of the competition for some time. So most of the teams in the competition at this stage, we do not know their strengths. We have to do a lot of work, research into how our opponents are at any stage of the competition. So I would not want to be too complacent here.
You heard George Amwaku. He is the Chief Executive of Kumasi Asante Kotoko. That's Sports for Lunch, MFA.
Thank you very much, Ridwan. Now, the 24 surviving wives of the late Yana Yakubu Andani II are now free to remarry after passing the traditional Gambi test. This means they did not have sex with anyone else in the time they were married to the king and the 17 years after his death. Joining News' Justice Beidu and Hashmin Mohammed, who covered the funeral of the late king, witnessed the traditional rites and tell its significance in the story.
A celebration of triumph. The 24 surviving wives of a former king carried shoulder high in pomp and pageantry. These women have just passed through the Gambia test. It means for the years they were married to the Yana, they never had sex with anyone else, not even the 17-year period between his death and funeral. Men sing their praise songs for passing a crucial test and bringing honor not just to themselves, but their generations yet unborn. Inside the Bewa Palace itself, hundreds of other women have come to send their congratulatory messages.
Some of the wives are not alive. Those who are alive, they perform it perfectly. So we are very, very happy, and we thank Almighty Allah for this successful day.
For the wife of a king to go through the ritual, she must have a strong heart. We got married to Yana for more than 32 years. We never did anything bad to break our marriage vow. We were his wives. He was our heavenly husband.
Some elated wives there of the late Yana Yakubu Andani II, because they are free to remarry. Now, it's midweek already, and I'm sure most of you can't wait for Friday because it's the Joy FM open mic and it's happening at the Plus 233 Jazz Bar and Grill. It will be a night of rap, music, poetry, stand-up comedy, and it will certainly give you something to talk about. High Life musician Ishan says she's bringing her A game on.
So I want this one to be super awesome. You know, when we're sitting down, we're talking like this, I say, yeah, we can't bite, but when it gets there, we bite. So if not bite us, don't worry, I'm a friendly person. So you just come and see for yourself. It's going to be amazing. Scatter, jungler scatter.
and Grill. You certainly ought to be there that night. And it's time now to check out what's trending on social media. And Maps, I'm told hashtag Bring Back Our Tardy Girls is trending.
People are talking about hashtag Bring Back Our Tardy Girls, and at Kofi Salom says, we're not going to keep calm or act blind about this. We will fish you out. Hashtag Bring Back Our Tardy Girls. And at Mr_Jip says, fellow Ghanaians, this is a national threat and we'll need to add our voices and fight against this. Let's all add our voices with hashtag Bring Back Our Tardy Girls. At D_Brainer says, it's times like these you can't tell who's worse, the kidnappers or the Ghana police. Hashtag Bring Back Our Tardy Girls. At Nkwek, who says, we kindly beseech our hardworking police units to seek for external help if the need be, because issues like these are very easy to take longer than expected. So to our police personnel, please reach out to others for help. We need our girls back. Hashtag Bring Back Our Tardy Girls. And at Jerome4360 says, Ghana police, we suspect if the suspect refuses to talk, please apply waterboarding. Every credible security outfit knows it. Hashtag Bring Back Our Tardy Girls. And the last tweet is from @Godzilla3, who says, the security service in our country should be up and doing. What's happening is bad. Politicians are not talking about it, but will come to Tardy for votes. Hashtag Bring Back Our Tardy Girls.
And it's hashtag Bring Back Our Tardy Girls. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I am Emefa Apau. We'll leave you with members of the three girls, the family of the three girls who've been kidnapped in Takoradi. They are making a passionate appeal to President Akufo-Addo to ensure their loved ones are found.
So everyone says I'm a Kosia filler, but it's